By the way, why did he come to write poetry? He was a playwright, right? But he writing poems. You can't make a living by writing poems. In Shakespeare times, even today, except in one country. Which country is it? In a country, you make a fortune. Which is the country? The United States? UK? In Korea. People enjoy reading poetry, and you can make a fortune by selling a book of poems. Not in the United States. So Wallace Stevens was actually the best poet of the 20th century, and his job was a insurance man. He worked for a company. Of course, he promoted to the rank of vice president, but nobody in his company knew that he was writing poetry. And another poet is William Carlos Williams. Two biggest poets of the last century, and he made a living by what? Being a child doctor. He was in medicine. Yeats was an exception. He was a poet. For a time, he worked for the government as a senator, but it's an appointment. It's not an elected position. And Shakespeare made a living being an actor or by writing plays, but of course he wanted to write poetry, but he couldn't, no time to do it. But there came a chance. What was it? A contagious disease, right? There was a widespread disease, contagious disease, and people cannot gather in a public places, like in theater. So he spent his time writing poems, and he did two long poems. One is Venus and Adonis. The plot, the story is quite simple. A goddess is chasing a shepherd. That's the whole story. And he didn't like her, and he liked hunting. He was killed by a boar, and the goddess, Venus, went up to heaven. That's the whole story, but reading this story is fascinating. You'll see. And the other story is about Lucrece. It's a story of a general's wife being raped by his superior. This is a historical play, dramatic play, but I prefer this one. And the other poem, a very famous, unique poem, is Phoenix Total. And some of you liked it, and you regard it as a pure poem, right? I also think it's a pure poem, but some people think it's nonsense. It doesn't mean anything, nonsense poem. But in fact, in Korea, there was probably the best modernist poet is Kim Chun-soo. He spent several years doing nonsense poetry. It doesn't mean anything, but it's extremely beautiful. While reading it, you think that it means something. But after finishing the story, the poem, what does it mean, by the way? A very strange poem. So he tried to write nonsense poems for a period. And some of the poems written by Yeats are certainly nonsense poems to you, right? So Phoenix Turtle is I think is a great poem, pure poem. And today we are going to begin reading Venus and Adonis. I think there must be a mention of this, how Shakespeare began to write poems. Early life, London theatrical career, later year in death, plays, performances, textual sources, poems. In 1593 and 94, when the theaters were closed because of plague, Shakespeare published 2 narrative poems on erotic themes, Venus and Adonis. We are going to read this work. And The Rape of Lucrece. He dedicated them to the Henry Earl of Southampton. In Venus and Adonis, an innocent Adonis rejects the shepherd, rejects the sexual advances of Venus, while in The Rape of Lucrece, the virtuous wife Lucrece is raped by the lustful Tarquin. Influenced by the obvious metamorphosis of the poems, show the guilt and moral confusion that result from uncontrolled lust. Both proved popular and were often reprinted during Shakespeare's lifetime. The third narrative poem, A Lover's Complaint, yes, there was another one, in which a young woman laments seduction by a persuasive suitor, was printed in the first edition of the sonnets in 1609. Most scholars now accept that Shakespeare wrote The Lover's Complaint. Critics consider that his fine qualities are marred by leaden effects. The Phoenix and Turtle, printed in Robert Chester's 1601 Lovers Martyrs, mourns the death of the legendary Phoenix and this lover. The Faithful Turtle, though, in 1599, 2 early drafts of sonnets. Sonnets 138 and 144 appeared in the Passionate Pilgrim, published under Shakespeare's name, but without his permission. Okay, sonnets. Shakespeare sonnets, published 1609. Title page, right? Shakespeare's, 2 words, right? Shakespeare sonnets. Shakespeare, hyphenated. Published in 1609, the sonnets were the last of Shakespeare's non-dramatic works to be printed. Scholars are not certain when each of the 154 sonnets was composed, but evidence suggests that Shakespeare wrote sonnets throughout his career for a private readership, even before the 2 unauthorized sonnets appeared in the Passion Pilgrim in 1599. Francis Mears had referred in 1598 to Shakespeare's sugared sonnets among his private friends. Few analysts believe that the published collection follows Shakespeare's intended sequence. He seems to have planned 2 contrasting series, one about uncontrollable lust for a married woman of dark complexion, the Dark Lady, and one about comforting love for fair young men, the fair youth. It remains unclear if these figures represent real individuals or if the authorial eye who addresses them represents Shakespeare himself. Though Wordsworth believed that with the sonnet, Shakespeare unlocked his heart. In 1509 edition was dedicated to the Mr. W.H. credited as the only begetter of the poems. It is not known whether this was written by Shakespeare himself or by the publisher. Thomas Thorpe, whose initials appear at the foot of dedication page, nor is it known who Mr. W.H. was, despite numerous theories or whether Shakespeare's even unauthorized the publication. Critics praise the sonnets as a profound meditation on the nature of love, sexual passion, procreation, death, and time. So we are going to read both the long narrative poem and sonnets. Okay. Okay. There is long introduction to the poems. This is good introduction. Read it. Let's go to Venus and Adonis, the poem itself. Okay, page 2. Venus and Adonis. Right Honorable, I know not how I shall offend in dedicating my unpolished lines to your lordship. I know not how I shall offend in dedicating my unpolished lines to your lordship. Unpolished lines. Is it unpolished? It's highly polished, right? Perfect, but nor how the world will censure me for choosing so strong a prop to support so weak a burden. So weak a burden is work, right? So weak a burden. And prop, the person, the poem is dedicated to, right? Only if your honor seem but pleased, I account myself highly praised and vow to take advantage of all idle hours till I have honored you with some graver labor. But if the first error of my invention prove deformed, I shall be sorry it had so noble a godfather, and never after year so barren a land, for fear it yield me still so bad a harvest. I leave it to your honorable survey, and your honor to your heart's content, which I wish may always answer your own wish, and the world's hopeful expectation. Your honors in all duty, William Shakespeare. So how do we dedicate today? Much simpler, right? Appreciation, thanks, and all, right? If you say it in flowery language, right? Our fashion, right? Nobody will pay attention to it. Okay. Venus and Adonis. Even as the sun with purple-colored face had ta'en his last leave of the whipping morn, road-sick Adonis hied him to the chase. Hunting he loved, but love he laughed to scorn. Sick thought that Venus makes a May unto him, and like a bald-faced suitor gains to woo him. Is there any word you can understand? Or certainly, right? A main, there is a main means, there's a footnote here, main. There is, I don't see it. And gins is a contract form, begins, right? Begins, gins. Road-sicked. And purple-colored face. Purple is bluish, reddish blue, purple, right? But in Shakespeare time, it means red, right? Purple-colored, footnote 1. In Elizabethan English, purple often meant the color ruddier and brighter than in modern usage. Fuller points out Shakespeare often uses it of blood. The Latin purpureus was also applied to a variety of colors since it originally expressed only extreme brightness of color. However, there is no need to explain away the purple-colored face of this rising sun. The epithet, the adjective epithet, could be conventionally applied to dawn, as in Spenser's. Okay, footnote 2, weeping. Shakespeare's mythology is often a careful variation on pagan law. If dawn is personified in classical poetry, her lover is always Tithonus, not the sun. And footnote 3, road-sick Adonis. The same words occur in Marlowe's Hero and Leander. And footnote 3, verse 4. Do you see 4? I don't see 4. Maybe hide him, hasten him. And footnote 5, sick-thoughted, lovesick. Makes a man, hastens. Makes a man, hastens. Makes a man, hastens. Okay, so you can understand the meaning. Even as the sun with purple-colored face had taken his last leave of the whipping morn. So the sun has already risen, right? So rose-cheeked Adonis hied him to the chase, chased him, right? Hunting he loved, semicolon, is divided, semicolon. Why? Semicolon, hunting he loved hunting, but love he loved to scorn. So emphasis, the object is put at the end of a sentence, at the beginning of a sentence, right? Hunting he loved, but love he loved to scorn. Sick-thoughted Venus makes a man unto him, and like a bold-faced suitor, gains to woo him. So this is the beginning, and you can guess what is happening here. And page 4, what is being said is what? Opening quotation, right? And without quotation mark, with closing quotation mark. It goes on and on. On page 4, third stanza, last line, at the end of the last line, what do you see? Closing quotation mark, closing quotation mark. So this is what she says, right? Venus is saying this. Thrice fairer than myself, thus she began. She understands it, right? Thrice fairer than myself, thus she began. The field chief flower, this is Shakespearean superlative. You are the most beautiful, we say. In today, you say, you're the most beautiful woman. But here, the field chief flower, right? In the field, there are many different kinds of flower, but the field chief flower is superlative, right? The field chief flower, sweet above compare. Compare means comparison. Sweet above compare. Sweet compare, so sweetest, right? Swedish, right? The field chief flower, sweet above compare. Stain to all nymphs, stain to all nymphs. This is unique. Stain to, is not negative meaning, stain. There must be a footnote. More lovely than a man, more lovely than a man, more white and red than doves of roses are, right? Double comparisons, more white than doves, more red than roses, right? Double, two comparisons here. More white and red than doves of roses are. Nature that made thee with the self at strife, saith that the world hath ending with thy life. Nature that made thee with the self at strife, saith that the world hath ending with thy life. Vouchsafe thou, wonder, to alight thy steed. Alight, get off, right? And rein his proud head to the saddle bow. If thou wilt deign this favor, for thy meed 1,000 honey secret shall thou know. Here come and sit where never serpent hisses, and being said, I'll smother thee with kisses. and did not cloy thy lips with loath satiety, but rather famish them amid their plenty, making them red and pale with fresh variety. 10 kisses short as one long as 20. Summer's days will seem but an hour but short, being wasted in such time beguiling sport. Very absorbing, right? Okay, let's go to the footnote. Footnote 8, above compare. This originally meant without or above compare or rival, but in association with the verb compare, it suggests new substantive, as in, okay. 9. Footnote 9. Stain. Superior beauty or excellence is thought of as casting a stain or a shadow on what it surpasses. Oh, stain. Stain leaves something. So a stain is a positive meaning, right? Superior beauty or excellence is thought of as casting a stain or a shadow on what it surpasses. And footnote 10. Okay, 11 to 12. Nature, life. Nature strove to surpass herself in making Adonis, and having achieved perfection, intends to let the world die with him. The hyperbole is repeated with a similar conceit. Alight means alight from, for, rein, saddlebow, to curb the horse so that it might not stray. Honey, sweet. 20. Oh, it means lions instead of footnote, right? Famish them. Okay, 21. Red and pale down his lips will be alternatively stung to redness by 10 kisses, short as 1, and drained of their color by the one long as 20. Oh, now you understand? Right. 24, line 24, wasted, spent, often used in no depreciatory sense. Okay, so let's go to the stanza 2. Thrice fairer than myself, 3 times more, 3 times fairer than myself. Thus she began, the field's chief flower, sweet above compare, stained to all nymphs, more lovely than a man, more white and red than doves and roses are. Nature that made thee with the self that strive, said that the world has ending with thy life. Vouchsafe thou wonder to alight thy steed and rein his proud head to the saddlebow, if thou wilt deign this favor, for thy mead 1,000 honey secrets shalt thou know. Here, come and sit, where never serpent hisses, and being set, I'll smother thee with kisses. And yet not cloy thy lips with loath satiety, but rather famish them amid their plenty, making them red and pale with fresh variety. 10 kisses short as 1, 1 long as 20. Summer's day will seem an hour but short, being wasted in such time-beguiling sport. Okay, next. With this, she seized on his sweating palm, the precedent of pith and livelihood, and trembling in her passion, calls it balm, urged his sovereign slave to do a goddess good. Being so enraged, desire doth lend the force, courageously to pluck him from his horse. Over one arm, the lusty courser slain. Under her other was the tender boy, who blushed and pouted in a dull disdain. With leaden appetite, apt to toy, she read and hot as coals of glowing fire. She read for shame, but frosty in desire. The studied bridle on a ragged bough nimbly she fastens. Oh, how quick she is love. The steed is stalled up, and even now, to tie the rider, she begins to prove. backward. She pushed him as she would be thrust and governed him in strength, though not in lust. So it's very funny. What do you think? It's a comic situation, right? Is it comic, right? Venus is much more powerful than the boy, right? Stronger, much stronger. And but the comparison of the two people is one is what, very cold, and the Venus is what? She's passionate, right? So the expressions are very interesting here, right? She, second stanza, the last two lines. She, red and hot as coals of glowing fire. Good, right? She, red and hot as coals for glowing fire. He, red for shame, but frosty in desire. Right? He's red, but not for passion, but for shame. And he's frosty in desire. Very interesting, right? Frosty. And so the poem begins like this, and why don't we divide the class into three groups? Then why don't you take the stanzas you like best and talk about it, or you can choose a few stanzas up to line 414. That's your assignment, right? You did an essay already, and you can talk about the essay within your group. And then in general, the overall discussion will follow after your group discussion, okay? Okay, first group, second group, third group. Okay, let's do it. Okay. Yeah, you've just raised a very interesting question. Two things. One is why not Aphrodite, right? Aphrodite is Venus is a Roman goddess. Why not an Aphrodite? What do you think? Nobody has any answer? Why? No, maybe Shakespeare was ignorant. He couldn't tell the difference. I think Venus and Adonis, firstly, it sounds good. If you say Venus and Aphrodite, do you like it? Venus and Aphrodite. This harmonious, not that very harmonious. Venus and Adonis. So I don't know. Maybe must have never thought of this bit. One is from Greek mythology, another is from Roman mythology. To me, it sounds better if you say Venus and Adonis. It's the Venus, Aphrodite and Adonis, kind of. What do you think? Aphrodite.
That's what I thought too. Like he mentioned how maybe he just did it because it just flows better with the English language when you're writing it out.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Shakespeare is very sensitive to the sound, the English sound. So maybe unconsciously, in spite of himself, he must have chosen Venus and Adonis instead of Aphrodite and Adonis, right? And the second thing you mentioned the fact that Adonis sounds like woman, or gentle, very, very, very gentle. He's like the description of Adonis fit into the description of a male. I think that is a very important question you have just raised, and I think in Shakespeare's case and other writers too, if A and B love each other, really, there will be no story at all, right? A and B love, and they made love perfectly, that's all. How could you develop a story, right? In here, it's quite funny. The Venus is older woman, mature, and Adonis is very young, immature, just a boy who enjoys hunting. There's a huge discrepancy. Their interests are different, right? Venus is enamored. He is in pursuit of the shepherd. Also, there is a big difference between one is God and the other is a human, a shepherd. Huge discrepancy. So you could tell the story in an interesting way in this situation, right? If you put two gods, right? Perfect woman, perfect male god, perfect female god, nothing could develop out of it. So it's a kind of a strategy way to develop a story, I think, to me, right? And also, there are many different ways. Also, a love story, A and B, two lovers, A and B, could in perfect love, but there is intervention, there is a hole, like in Romeo and Juliet. They loved each other, but the families are the enemies, foes. And a very interesting story develops out of this, right? So also between social classes, right? Male from a noble class or a female noble class, the male from a lower class, like in D.H. Lawrence's Lady Chocolate Lover. Right? The male was a gamekeeper, right? So very interesting. Then, of course, there is justification, of course, right? The male was Chatterley's Lady Chatterley's husband was crippled, paralysis. He suffered he was injured, and he couldn't function as a man. But there is justification. But to make a story, you have to put two different things together, right? One thing is in conflict with another, things like that. So this is how to make a story. But why I'm interested in Venus and Adonis is the language in it, punning, and also very fine situations are described in a very perfect way, in various ways, and I like it very much. And for example, there are many, but I will, we can go to the some examples. Okay, page 23, second stanza. I like it very much. There is an argument here, right? And Adonis said, "Give me my hand, give me my hand. Let me go, give me my hand. Why dost thou feel it? Why dost thou feel it? Don't feel it." And the retort is very interesting, right? "Give me my heart," right? Yeah, you stole my heart, right? Give it back, right? Give me my heart, says she, and thou shalt have it. Interesting, right? Oh, give it me, lest thy hard do steal it. And being still, soft sighs can never brave it. Then love's deep groans I never shall regard, because a done heart hath made mine hard. So it's very funny, of course, right? It's not reasonable, right? The woman is very powerful over him, and it's funny, but in spite of myself, you could agree to her. So this is fine description and making use of this situation, love situation. So very interesting, right? Also, page 22, third paragraph. Full gently now she takes him by the hand, a lily prisoned in a jail of snow. Interesting, very beautiful. He's a poet, right? A lily prisoned in a jail of snow. But if you analyze this line, it's nonsense. A lily prison? What does it mean, a lily prison? What is a lily prison? Nothing. A prison made of a lily? But it's a metaphor, very beautiful. Right? And a lily prisoned in a jail of snow. A lily prisoned in a jail of snow. In a jail of snow. Who is a jail of snow? Lily prisoned in the jail of snow. Love, of course, Venus, right? Imprisoned, right? Imprisoned in the jail of snow. Or ivory in an alabaster band. So white a friend in girt, so white a foe. This beauteous combat, willful and unwilling, showed like the two silver doves that say the billing. The last line is very interesting. Keen observations. Shakespeare observed two birds making love, billing, right? Have you seen the two birds, two pigeons making love, right? And he watched it and he put it in his poem. So there are so many interesting observations in it. Also, there is a very long description of the two horses making love. Very interesting. And is it fitting for Shakespeare to introduce long stanzas, long lines about two horses? It's a kind of aside. It's a kind of. It seems there's nothing. They have nothing to do with the main story. But I think it's fitting because the Danish enjoys loves hunting, right? Loves hunting, and when you go hunting, you need a horse, right? So it looks like an aside, but it is an essential part of the play, drama, poetic drama. So it's fascinating, and let's go to the second part of the. Why don't you do the homework? About 828. 828, right? From line 415 to 808, 828. So read it slowly. You come to like it. You like it. Okay, I'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you.